What's up, Gator Nation? Zach Albaverdi, Nick Del Toro here, coming to you with a rapid reaction as the Gators have just wrapped up their trip to SEC Media Days in Dallas. Nick was on the scene for us for the first time having this event in the state of Texas, and a lot of ground to cover, a lot of things that we got to hear from Billy Napier and his three players today. Nick, how was your day at SEC Media Days and the first time for Dallas?
Yeah, it's good. Here, let me give people a little show. This is the main room. I'm sitting in one of the stages there, but some very large football helmets. Paul Feinbaum shows going on over there. Um, First time, second. I think only my second time in Dallas. Was here for a Cotton Bowl, or maybe
That's right.
third time because McElwain they had the 2017 game against Michigan. Try to forget that 2017 season as much as possible. But yeah, it's a little Southern hospitality coming into Texas as you invite Texas and Oklahoma into the conference. A lot of questions have been asked about Texas this week. But yeah, it's always a bit of a circus here, and happy to be back after missing last year on my honeymoon.
That's right. That's right. I had to hold it down, and I'm glad you got to go to Dallas this year because it's going to be a chance that'll be one of two trips to Texas this fall for you, Nick. We get to go back for Austin.
Mm-hmm.
So, like you said, the
Looking forward to
Longhorns were a huge topic today. They were in Dallas, but we got to hear from the Gators, and you were there for Billy's meeting with local and national reporters before he took the main stage. You obviously got to hear him in the main room. He made himself available to Radio Row, SEC Network. He was all over the place. I'm not sure how much you got to follow him or hear from him, but what did you get the sense were kind of the major themes for Florida today and the things that Billy and his players got asked most about?
I think the major themes are one, the schedule. Everyone gets asked about that schedule. I think Montrell got asked about Trevor Etienne over and over again. The theme, surprisingly for Graham Mertz, was the Manning Passing Academy. He got asked so many times today about the Manning Passing Academy and his experience there. And then Shamar James, it's how can the defense be better? It's like I said, I joked it's a low bar they have to step over to be better. But those were kind of the themes. I think the quote that everyone is running with on social media is Billy Napier saying that the team's on schedule, and
somewhat or to a degree is what
it's on somebody's schedule. Like I wrote about it and I tried to look at it from the other side because it's easy to make jokes, but I'm like, you inherited a team like Mike Norvell inherited his job in 2020 during COVID. That comes with its own set of challenges. Billy Napier gets inherited a team that didn't really have a lot of structure or discipline. And then the transfer portal is really becoming a thing. Oh, and then also NIL 5 months after it becomes legal. So now you're in uncharted territory with NIL and the transfer portal, and then the NIL mixed with the transfer portal, and it's hard on everyone, but easier for coaches like a Kirby Smart or like a Nick Saban, coaches who have established careers and tenures and aren't trying to build a culture. So I get it from that standpoint, and he's consistently said to us, Zach, this offseason, our systems are in place. We've got NIL figured out. We have our day-to-day figured out for the players. There's accountability. They know what the standard is and what we're trying to do. So from that standpoint, I understand what he says, although it is easy to make jokes about a program that's 11-14 saying you're on schedule.
And another thing that he's talked about all offseason, Nick, is how he feels about Graham Mertz. I know that we kind of learned his stance in the spring on Graham and how much of a big deal he felt it was for him to be back for 2024. I think today the rest of the conference got to see how he feels, and he was kind of bullish on Graham today on that stage.
Yeah. He said, and I don't know. I think I've said this before, but I can't remember if Billy told me off the record or on the record. But it's not a quote that he'll be mad about if it gets out. That Graham's one of, if not the smartest football players he's ever coached. And it's a quote I asked Graham about, and I just published a story about it. Graham said last year at this time I was learning players' names. This time this year I'm learning their why. Why do they play football? Who do they play football for? I know the ins and outs of the play, not just what I'm supposed to do, but what the wide receiver is supposed to do, the left guard, what the running back is supposed to do, what the protection is, what the defense is showing me, and how do we check out of that. And it's just a completely different depth of knowledge he has being in year 2 of the program. And there's a wide range of historical data that we can look back at. Joe Burrow, what did he do in his second year at LSU? Kyler Murray in his second year. And just not having to be worrying about, well, what is number 6's name? You know who Andy Jean is, and you know who all of your receivers are. So I think my expectation is that Graham Mertz has a better year than he had last year. And it's crazy because this time last year, we were all thinking, me, you, Florida fans, what the hell is Billy Napier doing going to get a Wisconsin quarterback? Wisconsin that hasn't learned that the forward pass is part of football yet. They have no interest in throwing the ball. If you're going to get a player from Wisconsin, get a lineman, not a quarterback. And Graham Mertz certainly has shut me up and I think changed the narrative around him. Now his goal is wanting to change the narrative around Florida football in the program.
And before we talk about some more topics, share with our listeners just what you got to witness today with Warfel and Mertz getting together and what was supposed to be, you said, a 5-minute game.
Yeah. So it's interesting. Danny Werfel's here, and the two of them got to meet. It's funny. I was talking to Graham about his golf round with Steve Spurrier, and that makes 2 of the 3 bronze statues outside Ben Hill Griffin Stadium that Graham Mertz has spent time with this offseason. But it was interesting. Danny kind of just being a fly on the wall, listening to them talk. And I won't give it too many details because they were just talking, but Danny telling Graham what Steve Spurrier's offense was like, and Graham being like, really, it was really cool. But getting to watch them play EA college football against each other. Graham said he's not a gamer; he's not very good. Danny Werfel's 50 years old. I don't imagine he's playing a lot of PS5. And I don't know if Graham told him all of the controls before he won the game, but they did play a half of football. It was really cool. It's very cool to see minds like that play a video game, and they have watching the plays develop. Danny's calling out Graham's defenses before he's hiking the ball, so that was a really cool experience to watch them kind of play against each other in the new video game.
And then before we get you out of here, Nick, was there anything else from today that kind of stood out to you about what was said, what was asked? Obviously we've got to spend a lot of time around this team, but this is, we get to see them in a different setting today.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I learned that Montrell Johnson can draw. Shamar James cannot draw. But it's cool just to spend some time and get to know players personally, outside of just a helmet and a jersey number. I had questions. Montrell Johnson, you can speak to this as well, has been a little nervous when coming to do media. And when you're in Gainesville, it might only be 20, 25 people in a room. There's over 1,200 credentialed media members here to see media day.
Including Nick Saban.
Including Nick Saban, credentialed member of the media. And I thought they handled it really well. I think they represented the University of Florida really well. Montrell Johnson got asked a bunch about Trevor Etienne. You probably didn't hear about it because there were no bulletin board material. I think each player was asked point blank or kind of beating around the bush, like, do you feel pressure to perform so that your coach doesn't get fired? And I think it was a testament to the SID. Shout out to Matthew Hutchinson getting the players ready for tough questions like that. But I think Florida handled themselves really well today.
And then last thing, you mentioned Shamar James and some of the things that he got asked about the defense. What do you feel like came out of that? And also, what did you think about some of the things Billy said about the strength program? That was something that he really touted, and Tyler Miles, who you've got to see up close and personal.
Yeah, I have a lot of respect for Tyler Miles and Jake Sankel and what they're doing. I think my biggest question to Shamar was, how much is different? And the answer is a ton. Billy Napier had never fired an assistant coach in 7 years, in 6 years, 6+ years of being a head coach. After they did their self-evaluation after the year, he made 2 defensive staff changes, which is something he hadn't done before. Immediately after the season, by Sunday. And then you get a third when Jay Bateman leaves. So you've got 3 new coaches. Ron Roberts is really the architect of the defense that Austin Armstrong runs. It's where it came from. So now you have, the Karate Kid and Mr. Miyagi on the defensive side of the ball. You also added 13 new players through the transfer portal and through the signing class. So the defense is totally different. And I think kind of on schedule, going back to that, is somebody asked Billy Napier, looking back now, knowing what would you have done stuff differently? He said, yeah, quite frankly, I would. But I think some of the stuff we did this year, and I think leaning into veteran players, Asa Turner, Traquez Bridges, DJ Douglas, getting those kind of guys with thousands of reps, thousands of college snaps onto the defense to help you immediately is something maybe if he would go back to 2021, 2022, would say, hey, maybe we need to go to the transfer portal and get a little bit older quicker. Scott Strickland told me in this day and age, you have to get old and stay old in the transfer portal. And I think Florida did that successfully this cycle.
Yep, and now we're going to see what type of impact those guys can make on the field this fall, not only on defense but offense as well. I mean, 2 impact wide receivers that they've added. Going to have some starters on their offensive line as well that they got from the portal. Their starting quarterback is a portal addition. So starting running back is a portal addition. There's a lot of portal flavor there. This is a college
football. Right tackle.
Yeah, it's Damian George, he was also a transfer as well. That's this is the new
starting nose guard, starting defensive tackle. It's everywhere, all over the place. And even now, you look at transfer portal guys who are true freshmen in Jameer Grimsley and DeAndre Robinson. It's a
Jason Zandamela.
Jason Zandamela as well. Remember transfer portal. It's been interesting, and I think the rules and the landscape are constantly changing. Billy Napier said that it changes every 6 months, and he goes, and it'll probably change again in the next 6 months.
No doubt. Well, a lot of change happening with the new season starting. We're looking forward to seeing what this 2024 Florida football team is going to look like. We will get a chance to do that much sooner than August 31st. They will be starting fall camp. We will be privy to some practices and some workouts and things that we're going to get to watch here in the coming weeks. So as we do every time that we visit you guys on this channel, make sure that you take advantage of our promo code UF1. Get 2 months of access for just $1. All of the buzz coming out of summer workouts leading into camp, what we're hearing from the practices. We'll have it all for you at Gators Online. So make sure that you guys are subscribed and ready for the season. Nick, great coverage today. I'm glad you got to touch down in Dallas once again. And we'll be back in the Lone Star State in a few months, my friend.
Absolutely. Looking forward to Austin in November.
No doubt. So we'll join you guys again in a couple days for the Gators Online show. More extended talk coming out of SEC Media Days and starting to look ahead to fall training camp. So stay tuned for that. For Nick Del Torre, I'm Zach Albaverdi. We'll see you guys next time.